Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today on this video, since we're right on the doorstep of 2025 and the new year, just wanted to kind of take a little bit of time on this video to kind of reflect on 2024 and also kind of share with you some of my goals or New Year's resolutions, if you want to call it, for 2025 when it comes to, my fishing next year. Obviously got some other personal goals and things like that. But anyways, yeah, just kind of taking a look back on 2024. This is obviously a year. I'm actually in the process of writing a Bass Fan article about this. Hopefully I can get my thoughts on paper, so to speak, the way that I want them. But been thinking a lot about it. Obviously, this was a big year for myself and my family, not in the best of ways. Obviously with the diagnosis of my daughter's cancer in January of last year or this year, that was a big deal. That was something that really just struck us hard and really, changed everything. And of course, I didn't fish tournaments this year. I fished 2 tournaments, one little local event here on Chickamauga with my buddy Keith, and then flew up to, or not flew up, but drove up to Minnesota to fish the Dick Hiley Bass Classic, which is a St. Jude benefit tournament up there. And anyways, it was, it was really hard not fishing this year. In some respects, like I love tournament fishing and I also love the camaraderie. I love the competition, all that stuff. But obviously it was so overshadowed by this really, really important task of getting my daughter healthy again and getting her the right treatment at St. Jude that, we put all that on hold and didn't do any of it. So, and that also gave me an opportunity to kind of put things in perspective. It also gave me an opportunity to kind of be a fly on the wall when it comes to just kind of standing back and seeing what's going on in the industry and the sport as a whole, which, admittedly, a lot of it hasn't really been all that great. There's a lot of negativity out there right now, which is something that we're going to talk about pretty soon here. And so it's, it was an opportunity for me to gain some perspective on life, where I want to go from here, where I want my career to go from here, and all that stuff. And it was also like really crazy because I'd been feeling it over the last few years. And I'm sorry, we're going to talk about changing technology and forward-facing sonar in this video a little bit. But it was really insane to see how insanely dominant the guys that have been able to dial in that technology have been over the last year. But really, it's been like 3 years coming. The last 3 years, that's when you started to notice the anglers that are just crushing it out there are generally younger, and this year it's like every tournament that I see, I look at the standings, I'm like, I don't recognize any of these guys' name, and they're all like, young names. You could tell that they're younger guys, and then you look into them, you look into their profiles and all that, and they're in their 20s, which isn't a bad thing, but it's definitely different. That has definitely changed, and I really think that's because forward-facing sonar and that the dominance of the techniques that you use with that technology is something that guys that are just getting into the sport and taking it seriously can really capitalize on. Because in a 20-year-old or somebody in their 20s, at that point in their life, like I was back then, I could fish 5 to 7 days a week. In fact, that's what I did. I was constantly on the water. I did a little bit of work, worked as a waiter to be able to pay the few bills that I had and pay for gas and food and all that. And then also went to school, did a lot of online classes, but I was able to stay on the water like 5 to 7 days a week on average. And, obviously when you're younger, you can do that. You have lower overhead, you have more time, you're single, you don't have a family. But once you get up to my age, having a family, is a situation where, they either have to make huge sacrifices with me not being there, or, you have to sacrifice for your family, which I think, this year really put that in perspective as a really important thing to do. And you have to spend more time with them. And that means that you just can't be on the water enough to learn it fast enough to compete with these guys at this point in time. So anyways, that's kind of what I've been seeing this year from the competition side. And obviously the economics of the sport are kind of in question. That's kind of a big topic, entry fees and payouts. That balance has always been something we've thought about, complained about, fought for, and it seems like this year that was kind of a big thing. There's a lot going on in the sport. So, but anyways, that's about as far as I'm going to dive into the controversial topics of the sport. But that's a great place to kind of start talking about my goals going into this next year, because, looking at the sport from the outside, I was able to really, start trying to visualize, like, how am I going to fit back into the sport when I get back? Am I going to be able to compete against these guys that have really figured out forward-facing sonar, these young guys that have all this time to really hone their skills with that technology? And, I'll be honest, for a long time, this year, I was pretty down on myself, thinking that, my time was pretty much over, in the sport, as far as being as competitive as I have been, because I'm just like, I don't know how I can catch up at this point. But fortunately, I've kind of shaken that off, and I'm actually starting to get really excited about getting back out there in the Opens this year. And so that brings us to my first goal, or New Year's resolution, if you will. And that is to be positive, okay? Being positive is something that we could all use right now, especially in this sport, really everything right now. There's just so much outrage everywhere. I think social media has a lot to do with it, and just hearing those voices of negativity and all that. And I want to be a voice that spreads positivity, even if it means talking about an uncomfortable reality that's happening in the sport, but kind of looking at it in terms of like a constructive course on how to navigate through that, and so there's a lot of things that you can do to still be positive, but while talking about something that isn't itself a positive topic, like technology. And so I want to make sure that I'm positive this year, because I think that that's overall going to help my overall tournament fishing process. I think it's going to put me in a better mood, and it's going to give me more confidence overall if I just practice a little bit more positivity. And I think it's better for everybody in the sport, because this is an awesome industry and sport that we're in. Fishing is a wonderful activity. Bass fishing specifically, I absolutely love. And I want to spread that love for the sport, because it's just not being done as much as it should right now, because there's a lot of noise. So that is the first thing, be positive. The second thing that I think is super important for this next year, and that kind of like pulled me out of that nosedive where I was just thinking that, my skill sets that I've been fostering or building for decades now, ever since high school, are, obsolete. That's kind of how I was feeling, is like, gosh, all the shallow water power fishing stuff isn't as competitive. So, do I have to completely relearn bass fishing? Well, I've kind of pulled out of that mindset. And regardless of what the answer is, I can tell you that I'm very, very confident what I'm going to be doing this year is to focus on what I'm best at. Go out there, fish the things that I'm supremely confident at, not even the things that I'm proficient at. Like, I'm going to go all in on the things that I enjoy doing the most, because I'm the best at them. The things that have got me the most checks, that have got me to championships, those sort of things, that's what I want to do. And I feel very good about that. There's almost like this freeing quality to saying, hey, listen, there's this whole new thing that's going on. This whole, I don't know, I don't think trend is the right word for it, but there's this new era happening in tournament bass fishing, and I'm kind of like late to the game a little bit on how people are utilizing it to win tournaments. But in the meantime, until I learn those things with forward-facing sonar that everybody's doing so well nowadays, or at least a certain number of people are doing so well, I'm going to focus on what I'm best at. So when I'm not tournament fishing, I'm going to be learning it. And then hopefully at some point, I'm going to be like, gosh, I'm just as proficient at this as I was fishing a chatterbait or flipping and pitching up shallow. But during tournaments, when money's on the line, I'm going all in on what I do best and just getting rid of all the noise. And one of the beautiful things about going through, a very emotional year like we did that really, changed perspective, on everything, with my daughter, getting treated for cancer and all the realities that come with that. Quite honestly, if I don't do well this year, that's not a big deal anymore. Like, it used to be like the worst thing ever that could happen to me is for me to have a bad year. And I had 2, bad years before this year, and I was so down on myself. And now it's like, that doesn't matter at all. It's like, so I almost am free. I'm almost like, gonna be fishing more free because honestly, I don't care. If I don't catch them for whatever reason, it's not the end of the world like it used to feel, because the end of the world is, who's taking a nap right there. If something happened to her or my wife or my family members, or my friends, that's the end of the world. And I just never had that perspective because I've just always been so career oriented and driven. So I feel really, really good about fishing this year and really just focusing on what I do best, staying in my lane. So that is the second goal that I have. I know that was kind of like a drawn out goal explanation. And the third and final goal that I have for this year, as far as tournament fishing and fishing in general, is I have more goals. Like, obviously I want to create a lot of great content on the channel. I want to continue growing YouTube, but I'm more or less talking about like competition right now. And the third thing is just getting more fit. I'm a stress eater for sure. I've gained, probably about 20 or 30 pounds this year with everything going on. Of course, when we moved to St. Jude in Memphis, for the first month, we're just eating takeout because we didn't have a kitchen in our apartment. But then beyond that, that is my vice. Food is my vice. And so I need to get back to a place where I'm healthier. And I think that'll help me kind of, compete better too, as well as just be a better, husband and father here at home. So, anyways, that's the third goal. I think health is very, very important. And it's something that I've really, recognized as something I need to do better this year. So those are things that I've got to work on. Those are my goals. I call them goals instead of, New Year's resolutions, because I feel like resolutions doesn't resonate with me to where, I really, will continue working towards resolutions throughout the year. Usually they last like 3 weeks and then they're done. So they're goals. They're going to happen. They're going to be done. And so we're putting it out there in this video. But anyways, guys, I know this was not a fishing video, but I just wanted to kind of share, some insight on my my mindset going into this year and kind of how I'm processing things and approaching my tournament season. So anyways, guys, before we end this video, I just want to say thank you guys and gals, everybody out there that's watching these videos, that has been following me and following my family's journey this year throughout that whole ordeal. And, it'll continue hopefully in a positive direction, but I just want to thank you guys. We had such a great community of support. And this year was very special because of that. So thank you guys very much. Other than that, I'm going to see you guys out in the water. Let me know what you think about my approach, my thoughts, all that stuff. Did I drone on too much in this video? I want to hear all that in the comment section below. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to see you out in the water. Trust the process.